Welcome back to the True Roots podcast, where men find their true identity in Christ through surrender and obedience. And once again, we're back here with Dan Cox.
Every week.
And we can tell that it is spring here in the Wenatchee Valley, which is where we're at.
That's
because Dan has a sweatshirt and jeans on, and I've got a t-shirt and shorts on. So
I just am soft.
Are you?
I'm not, but it appears that way.
It does appear that way. I would imagine you're a little skinnier than I am.
Yeah.
So maybe you get colder a little quicker.
Yeah. I think I just plan to take the layers off as I go,
Yeah, that's kind of smart. I mean, that's a springtime thing.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I had a shirt and jeans, and I'm behind schedule today. So we're just going to wear what I wore in here, and we're just going to rock it. We're just going to rock and roll. So, hey, I shared that without fear.
I was proud of you.
Which is how I'm going to transition into what we're talking about of walking towards fear today.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've just learned over the last few years is that quite often the way that the Lord asks us to go is walking towards fear and not away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest verses that I've found has been helpful for me is actually like my son's favorite verse. He loves Isaiah 41:10, which is a song by Aaron Crell. Obviously, it's a verse too, but it's a song by Aaron Crell, and it's one of his favorite songs. And we've listened to it over the last couple of years. And it's, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And the biggest thing in that the Lord just keeps highlighting is the first part: fear not. Fear not. Because we can quite often, I think, allow fear to either make us just sit in this space of nothing, where we do nothing, or make us go the opposite direction of it because it's scary. And quite often, what we need to face and what we need to walk towards is that fear so that freedom can come. And there's just been multiple different times of that in my life. And I'm trying to think of a story right now that would really reiterate that. I mean, I've told the story about the gym. I've talked about, facing that fear and walking towards it. But I think there's just so many different applications of that. But I think we can be so afraid to just step. And a lot of times it's just that step of walking into it, saying, "Lord, I'm going to believe you that you say fear not." And so I can take that step. And I think sometimes we're going to take that step and then the fear is just going to immediately leave. That's not always the case, but sometimes you take that step and you realize, it's like the turning, you feel like you're being chased by a lion and you turn around and it's a mouse. I think that quite often is just a representation of what fear actually looks like.
Yeah. It's true. Like, I was thinking about this morning, that God often shows up to people in the Bible in the middle of their discomfort or hardship. And I was thinking about how often people are refined in the Bible in the wilderness, like not comfort.
Yeah.
And it's not directly correlated to fear, but generally we're afraid of hard things and or unknown things. And I don't think that's like a coincidence, that's where people's characters refined, like depth of relationship with the Lord is created, and like that's where God chooses to refine and define the Israelites, and where he does, like Jesus does that, Paul does that. They go into the desert, and I don't know the psychology of it,
Yeah.
but it's not lost on me, I guess, that if I want to know the Lord more, I have to walk, to what you're saying, towards the things that are creating anxiety or fear in me or causing me to be afraid. Because that's all, he's always there in it,
Yeah.
So, and he seems to want to do his work there.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Well, you look at "be still and know that I am God." It's really hard to be still and know that he is God if we're not willing to walk towards the things that we're afraid of, because there still won't be that stillness. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, explain it more. Like what stillness are we describing?
Yeah, so like the real true peace of the Lord, like that stillness, to know that he's with us. And we talked about this maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, I don't remember, but where you've got to go out. Like you've talked about going out and evangelizing and talking to people.
Totally.
And you can go to the secret place with the Lord and just sit with him. I was actually, I was talking with a mentor yesterday, and he was talking about a book called, I think it's Sit, Walk, Stand, or Sit, Stand, Walk. I don't know. Yeah. But what he was talking about is there's those times where you're going to sit with the Lord, which in reality, like we need to be sitting with him daily. Like we're sitting with the Lord, and then we're going to go out and we're going to walk with the Lord. And he's going to say, hey, I've told you to do this. Like go, like now you got to walk it. And then there's other times where we need to stand firm with the Lord and just trust and stand firm and stand in it. And I think it's in that walking piece where when we walk things out with the Lord, was it walk out your salvation? Some
with fear and trembling.
With fear and trembling. I don't know if it's walk it, but it's like to do that with fear and trembling. I think part of that walking that out is stepping towards the things that he asked you to walk towards and believing and trusting in him in those things. And so when I say be still and know that I am God, I think that process, like there's a process to being still with him and knowing that he is. Because we can know that conceptually. Like I come back to the Lord 2.5 years ago, surrender, and I have his peace. Yeah. Right? Like it's here. I have his victory. And now he wants to claim more victory in the parts that sin has taken in my life to heal and restore. And so I'm already walking in that restoration, but I got to walk those steps towards that fear so that I can actually like know that in me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm still like the stillness is the peace, I think is what I heard you say. Like, so if I'm be still means to like accept my peace. Is that how you'd interpret that?
Yeah.
To receive it or?
Yeah, to receive. Here, I'll go with this. Like right now I'm dealing with anxiety. Like I talked about it a couple days online. So I'm trying to like be more real with the ugly while I'm going through it. Sure. And I'm not great at that online, but I'm learning.
You're the only one.
I know, right? Like I'm learning in relationship that I have a pretty anxious attachment just from things that have gone on in my life. And, there's lots of different reasons why those things happen, but I can live into that rather than facing it with the Lord and make it tougher on myself. And so what I mean by those things is like, I know in my head that the Lord is faithful. The Lord is good. The Lord is with me. He's shown up. I've seen it so many different times in my life. And now in this new area, I don't believe it in my heart. And so his stillness is still there. His peace is still there. And he still brings it at times.
Yeah.
But more so, I receive it at times. He brings it all the time.
Sure.
But I can actually receive it.
Yeah.
But as I walk towards that anxiety and start to walk out what he's asking me to walk out and do the things that he's asking me to do, I can now experience that stillness in my life and become still. Because I think stillness with the Lord is a process. And it's one of those things where we have to learn to trust and obey and walk and believe. And there's sometimes where it's in our head, but it's not in our heart yet. And so we have to actually walk towards those things and be able to do that rather than walk into other things that are going to create more of that. And so like for me, I don't have social media on my phone. I don't do social media hardly ever. And I notice that as I get anxious, I want to distract and I want to run to that.
Yeah.
And the Lord has refined me and changed me enough that I'm not running to other things at this point, but there's still things like you're still going to run to something. And so in this process of him shifting my beliefs and teaching me and allowing me to learn how to trust him and not fear, I'm having to learn to walk towards fear and reshape those things by choosing to continue to walk towards him.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm been been studying the story of Hagar in Genesis 16, and a lot of this reminds me of her story for a couple reasons. One, so if you're not familiar, are you familiar with it? Yeah. So she leaves, she gets abused, right? Like she can't stay where she is. And so she runs away.
Yeah.
And the Lord shows up and he says, hey, in the desert, where have you come from and where are you going? And all she can answer is where she's come from. She says, I'm fleeing from my mistress. And God's response to her is, go back and serve her. And you would expect, like when I would expect, you would expect, we would expect that like her response would be like, well, that's no, you know?
Yeah.
And God doesn't say it without a promise. Like he gives a promise. He says like, you're carrying a son, I'll turn him into a nation. Like he changes her identity from like being this maidservant to being the mother of a nation, right? Like, but she has to go back to what she's afraid of. And her response is worship. Because God saw her and she saw him.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about what you're talking about with stillness. And like, I don't know that there's any other response we can have when we actually encounter God.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and it is stillness because of who he is and because he is sovereign and because he is capable. Like God shows up to Job in the storm, and at the end, Job's chaos and his storm he had created in his own mind, not through any fault of his own. It was crazy life he was living at the time.
Yeah.
But he had this storm in his mind, you know, for 30 chapters of Job. And it's gone.
Yeah.
It like everything is still. And God didn't change the circumstance. As a matter of fact, with Hagar, God sent her back into but like she was now walking in the promises of God.
Yeah.
And I was just like so captivated by the idea that like just being in God's presence allows us to do the things we're talking about, like walk towards fear. Why? Because God's walking with me.
Yeah.
Like, or he's asked me to, and I know he's already there.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. I think you bring up just some really big points there in those senses of, you're right. Like his stillness is already like that's his presence gives that.
Yeah.
Like healing happens in his presence. Like he brings that. And so when we walk out, I would imagine when Hagar went back, and again, I don't remember the rest of the story, so I'll have you can fill it in. You can fill it in as it goes. But I would imagine in her humanness, like there was, you know, like she worshiped with the Lord, but she went back, and there's probably still some like little bit inside of her that's like, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know, you know, and but she went because she knew that the Lord was with her.
Yeah.
And he did show up, right? And he was in that story. And so that's the piece where it can be so easy when I talk about, like in my own story of walking towards social media or distraction. It's like, well, yeah, you do that, and then you can't walk out what I ask you to walk out in faith because you're going to constantly be feeling anxious because you're not walking towards what I'm asking you to walk towards. I'm asking you to come to me. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Like that's a promise. And so if I'm not doing that part, then I can't actually walk towards the things that he's asking me to walk towards and the things that I'm afraid of. And he's not going to, like, I think there's just times in our lives, like I've been dealing with that anxiety and the Lord's not just taking it away. You know, I'm like, Lord, can you take this away? No.
Yeah.
You know, we think that that's what he will do. Like I haven't thought that in my life, and he can. But I think there's a lot of times that he allows things to bubble to the surface.
Totally.
So that we have to walk through it with him. But that means with him and going to him and choosing to do that in those places so that you can actually walk it out and become free.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, back to that story, you know, Sarah,
Yeah.
who is Abram's wife and the mistress who abuses Hagar.
Yeah.
She
Thank you.
is-
But now my brain is finally reconnecting the story. I could not remember, and I'm like, oh yeah, Abraham said, there we go. Okay.
She is there's a promise that's been given
Yeah.
to her and
Yeah.
Abram, like, you are going to be the father of a nation. Like,
Yep.
I will give you a child. And it's been like a bunch of years since the promise, and nothing's happened.
Yep.
And she's like, hey, the Lord has done this. He has closed my womb. So she has right theology.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she understands God's sovereignty. But then she puts, in the same verse, she puts her hope in, it may be that I will have a child through her.
Yeah.
Like, and how often do we do that, where I have the right theology, I believe in who God is and that he is sovereign, I believe that he is capable of delivering me, and then I put my hope in something else.
Yeah.
Misplaced hope, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, God, why didn't you come through?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I want to face fear, but the reason I can't is because my hope is in something that's not capable of facing it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I was just thinking about how, like, oh, okay, I'm a little bit afraid of providing everything that's needed for my family,
Yeah.
having my own business. Like, how is that going to work? I'm going to put my hope in, you know, fill in the blank effort that I have and strategy.
Yeah.
It may be that, like, I know that God is the one who provides all my needs.
Yeah.
It may be that if I do this thing, it will be provided.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a second, now where's my hope? You know, I have the right theology, but now my hope is in my effort.
Yeah. It's so easy to get there. It's so easy to get there.
It's convicting.
Yeah, it's very convicting. It's very convicting. And that's the crazy thing. I think having the right theology, but realizing where it's misplaced hope. Like, obviously God did not allow the promise to come until later.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, if he's not allowing it, he said this, it must be this. And we do that in our brains. And I think we do that in our brains, especially when the promise that he's given takes longer than we think.
Right. Yeah, it's like, I'm still in this situation. Why am I still here? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And he's not taking me out of the situation. That's the piece that I don't understand with him, but I'm starting to, is because, like I would say, my theology is right. Like, I'm looking at, okay, like, there's so many different reasons why these things can't work. This thing can't happen. These things aren't where it's, and he's like, yeah, but your hope is in what you can do and what it looks like. Your hope is not in me. And when my hope gets placed in him, it's weird. I can be patient. I can wait. I can trust. I can have faith. I can be still. Mm-hmm. And yet when I change that and shift it to, like, oh, it's not happening fast, then the anxiety comes.
Yeah.
And it gets higher and it gets bigger. And it's that piece. It's the Hagar piece. It's like, okay, well then I need to go send, this sounds funny, but I need to go send my husband to go impregnate another woman so we can have our promise. And no, like, that's not what the Lord was asking to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just interesting to think about in the sense of how simple it is, but it is so difficult because we want things right now.
And that's like our fear.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the facing fear is just the, like, waiting on the Lord. Of like, okay, you've promised this thing. I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. And I'm worried about it.
Yeah.
Or I'm afraid of it. Like, when are you going to come through? And, like, I mean, the only option as a believer that we have is to, at least that we're supposed to have,
Yeah.
is to wait.
Yeah.
And then we do take other options often, we put our hope in other things. But, like, God's supposed to be our source.
Yeah.
And it is fear inducing to just keep waiting when you don't see it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going to happen. And then that's when you have to chase it upstream and be like, well, why am I not believing? You know? And I mean, then you have to go back to it's. I love like Peter's, where else would we go? You have the words of life. I don't, like there is this at the end of it all. I'm afraid. I'm in the middle of the thing that's been causing fear. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Like I'm chasing this thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not working out. Like when I see clearly, it's like, okay, I'm coming back to you, Lord. Where else
Yeah.
would I go? You
Yeah.
have the words of life. Nothing else is panning out for me. Sarai's plan did not pan out.
Yeah.
Created chaos.
Yeah.
My plans often create chaos. And
Yeah.
so it's like, what are you going to do? What am I going to do when chaos ensues? Where else would I go?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so simple sounding, like right now.
Yeah.
But then in the middle of it, when I don't see it, like God's not come through yet, it's like, okay, I got to go somewhere right now.
Yeah.
I can't wait here any longer. And it's like not simple anymore.
Well, and that's what anxiety and fear does, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety and fear just makes it, we got to move. I got to go do something. I've got to do something. And the Lord's like,
Just hang out.
yeah, just come to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're good. If I said it, I'll do it. I mean, that's just clear.
End of story.
End of story.
Yeah.
And even regardless of if he said it, he'll do it. He's good. And he's the only one that can bring fulfillment and joy and peace and all of those things. And yet when things don't happen in the timeline that we want them or the way that we want them or the way that we think they're going to happen, it's like, oh, well, this wasn't the way that I saw it, Lord. So I don't trust you anymore. But that's just misplaced hope. And when we go back to him and we do that, I mean, Sarai and Abraham, they did that.
Yeah.
They went back and the Lord fulfilled the promise. And so it's just this process of figuring, and again, when you're in it, like, yeah, it's just funny. Like when you're in it, you sometimes just can't even see what, you need that outside perspective to come in and to be able to show. Like I was talking with my mentor yesterday, and he goes, so what's your battle plan when you start to feel anxious? Like how are you recentering yourself with the Lord? How are you looking to him? How are you allowing him to work in, like you come from a place of victory and yet you're sitting in this place of like, I can't get there. I can't do this. This isn't going to happen. Like he won't be with me. Like what do you do? Are you actually trying to face it with him and sit with him and be with him and walk it out with him?
Yeah.
And so.
What a good mentor.
Yeah, he's a good mentor.
He's not letting you sit on your butt and be a victim.
No, he smacked me across the face a little bit. It's
He's
good.
like, get up and go walk towards your fear, buddy.
Yeah.
But because the Lord's with you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm curious for you, like when you think about walking towards fear,
Yeah.
like what's the process in your mind? When you recognize something is being put in front of you, whether God's asking you to do it or it's just very clearly the next step.
Yeah.
And is not like directly feeling like the Lord, but it just is what's in front of you. Like, what is your process to be able to take the steps towards it?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I have to think about that a little bit because I think it's, for one, it's to continue in sitting with the Lord first. Like to know that he's with me. So I want to be with the Lord. But for me, it's just looking at, okay, I'm afraid. I'll use the gym example because I think it's just a simple one that we've used on here before. But the second time, because the first time didn't go well. First time I let fear win. And I did try, I was trying to step into it. And it actually kind of applies to right now in the dating area and those kind of things. It's like, I'm trying to do it, but I'm stepping in faith without actual faith. Like I'm not putting my faith in him. I'm going to do the thing, but I'm not putting my faith in him.
Can you explain that more?
Yeah. So like I went to the gym, right? I went to the gym, I went to train, But I went there expecting it to fail and expecting myself to not be able to do it. And so because I expected that, that's what happened. I didn't expect the Lord to be with me.
Yeah.
Even though I was stepping into the thing that he asked me to step into and do it, I didn't expect him to show up and walk with me. And so I put it all on myself and my performance and how I do. And when I do that, then I just freak out. So when I went back to that, 2 weeks later, for one, I spent time with the Lord directly with this. I asked him for it. And I said, Lord, your power is perfect in weakness. You have always shown up for me in these scenarios. You were even there last time. I just didn't believe.
Yeah.
I didn't have faith. And if faith is as small as a mustard seed can move mountains, then I can step in front of a class and teach, and you're going to show up. And so the second time that I went in there, I stepped into that knowing he was with me, believing he was with me, and expecting him to show up. And that's the difference, I think, in the process when it goes well. Because here's the thing, I still messed up on that in that class. Like, I'm not a perfect teacher, never will be, and I wasn't perfect on the first time I'm teaching a class in the gym. Like, that's just not possible.
Yeah.
But I felt confident. I did it well. I worked hard, like all of those things, and I entered into it with confidence. And that's because I knew the Lord was with me. And the first time, I knew the Lord was with me, but I didn't actually believe in how I walked and how I stepped. And I think that that's the same thing, talking about dating, because that's kind of where my scenario is right now, is I am learning to fully believe that he is with me and that I can face the fears that I have and I can step towards it. I can be my full self, and I know that he's with me. And yet I can still, on days, walk in it and go, you're not with me. I don't believe you. I don't. Or if I do something wrong, and then I can just spin in my head, and it's like, Lord, like, you are with me, but I don't believe it. I'm choosing not to believe it.
Yeah.
And so now, as that is transitioning, that is growing, which is really good. As that's growing, it's like, okay, Lord, I know you're with me. Now, does that mean that I'm not still going to feel this at times? Like in the gym, I still felt nervous. I still had a little bit of that anxiety sometimes, and nervous and excitement are the same in our brain. So you can actually flip that thinking too, to like, you're excited. Like, that's good. But as I walk it with him in belief and expectation that he's going to show up, it's different in how I show up, because I'm walking in faith of he is going to be with me. And so that's really the process. I don't think it's a big process. It's not a big process. It's be with the Lord, believe he's going to show up, and step into it. And step into it with that belief that he's going to show up, even if that feeling's not quite there yet.
Yeah. But
knowing he's going to go before you. And, some of it is like remembering what he's done already, remembering that he has shown up for you. And as you walk more, you're going to have more of that belief, because he's always going to show up, like he's with you.
Yeah, it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah. So that's kind of my, like, do you have a different process? Like, I would love to hear, like, kind of what if you have a thought on that.
Yeah. I think generally it is this, like, be with the Lord, and practically what does that look like? It looks like setting myself apart from all of the distractions, and like taking the time to not be productive towards a thing, instead to be productive in, like, what I would say towards the Lord in knowing him. Like, even if I don't hear directly from him in like let's call it a half of a day.
Yeah.
Of just time, like asking the Lord, not doing other things, but prioritizing my relationship with him. I like it doesn't the outcome doesn't seem to, like, the thing just feels way less important.
Yeah.
And way less significant and way less big. Like when I think about planning or figuring out to move to Wenatchee from Phoenix, before, when I had moved and made decisions like that, it was like I was making a decision for myself, and like, big deal. It's like, if it doesn't work out, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But now I was making decisions, on behalf of and for multiple people that were dependent on me or reliant on me. And it just felt way different. And I remember like what if it doesn't work out? All these questions that ran through my mind. And the thing that settled me was like, well, I'm pursuing the Lord, and like taking time to just process through all of that with him. Like, okay, these are the things I'm feeling. These are the things I'm thinking, but this is what you're asking me to do. Okay. And it was almost like nothing, there's no magic in it.
Yeah.
It's just that like back to what I said before, like it just feels like everything is still when I'm with the Lord.
Yeah.
And so when I would do that, then I could walk. It's just like, okay, well, the result is in his hands.
Yeah.
And because I've like paused myself and my effort towards results, that's hard to do for me.
Yeah.
It's like I already took a step practically to believe the thing that I'm walking towards, of like that God, the results for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like that process. That's like it for me. It's like those two steps. It's like pause my effort, be with the Lord, then do the thing, knowing that my effort like isn't gonna generate anything. Like God is the one who's sovereign and in control, and the results are his.
Yeah.
And I think about my son, Asa, who has cerebral palsy. It's like, well, I could allow myself to be afraid, but like the results of his life are in God's hands. And that's true for all my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I could allow myself to be afraid about one of my children who has higher like emotional responses and anxious feelings and emotions. It's just like so different from me.
Yeah.
But the results are in his hands. And like when I pause my effort to change them or to create their future in a certain way, and I just say, all right, Lord, like, here's what I'm feeling. How do I do this? Like I have to step into it, but like, I don't understand how the outcome's going to change or whatever. Then it's like I can just walk towards it knowing that the results are in his hands now.
Yeah.
Like I pause my effort in a practical laying down of the results. Anyways, that's a long-winded way, but like it's two steps.
Yeah.
It feels like, just, okay, pause, sit with the Lord, and go.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I think that's similar to what I said, but in a much more succinct way, which you're really good at. I like the succinct way.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah. And I just think that really is what it is, right? Pause. Yeah. I mean, we can go back to the sit, walk, stand.
Yeah.
It's like pause, be with him, and then go. Trusting that he's with you and he'll guide and direct, and letting go of surrendering the results. It's really the process-driven approach, which people talk about all the time in sports and different things, but it really is like it does. There's reasons that mental performance coaches talk about that, even if they're not talking from a Christian perspective. Right. It's like it shifts the brain into like just do the thing that you're supposed to do and trust that.
Totally.
And then see what happens.
Yeah, results will come.
Results will come. So, well, let's pray. Yeah. Our timer went off, so
okay.
we're gonna rock and roll. We're gonna stop there. We'll figure it out how to have like a succinct ending at some point.
No, we don't need it.
We don't need it. It's all good. But you want to pray us out today?
Sure.
Yeah.
God, thank you that you are a present God. That you see us, you hear us, you understand our circumstances and our situations, and you are with us in them. And I pray that you would help us to recognize that and then to turn to you first. Lord, there are so many circumstances and situations that we find ourselves in that we are unprepared for or are surprised by. And the temptation is to shut down from fear or anxiety or to like put our hope in our own self or some other solution. But my prayer is that, even today, that Andy and I, we would be our first step, our first move would be towards you. And then that in doing that, we would be acknowledging, declaring that the results are in your hands. and that the things that are in front of us would have no power over our minds, our hearts, or our actions, but that you would be the catalyst for all the steps that we take. Praise your name. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks for coming with us again. And we do have our True Roots community. There's a link in the bio on YouTube and a link below on Apple Podcasts. Check it out. We'd love to have you in there. We have a belief matrix in there to shift beliefs from false to true. Check it out. We'd love to have you in there, and we will see you next week.
Have a great week.